Now, I can't believe that I get to run right from Proverbs to Isaiah with you guys. This is thrilling. Isaiah was the favorite book of the New Testament writers. So if you haven't picked a favorite book yet, Isaiah could be one of your favorite books. For me, it's probably the most exciting book for me to teach. I love Revelation. I love Titus. I love all the Bible. But Isaiah is different for this purpose, and right here it is. My favorite verse in Isaiah is right here, Isaiah 26:3. And if you get your Bibles, I want to show you something interesting that helps me communicate the book of Isaiah. Isaiah was writing at a time that you can imagine right now would be like the war in Gaza. I don't know if you're tracking, but right now the Israeli army, one of the most powerful armies in the world, literally, has completely encircled the city of Gaza, and they're moving inward, trying to get to Hamas leadership. The most powerful army in the world back then was the Assyrian army in Isaiah's time. And during the book of Isaiah, the Assyrian army completely encircled Jerusalem. Only, unlike the Israelis, the Assyrians had a different method of conquering. Their method, they were truly terrorists. Because what they did is they would go in and make attacks on the city. They would collect leaders of the city, military, political leaders. They would take them outside the city. They would, and there are actual, in the museums, stone carvings of this. They would spread eagle them. They would tie their ankles and their wrists. And they had a special corps that skinned the person alive. They would pull their skin off of their body while they were alive. Can you imagine what the person would do? They would scream, they would yell in full sight of the city. Then they would make their next conquest, and everyone they conquered, they would cut them up and stack their bodies in piles. This was total terrorism. Now look what Isaiah 26:3 says. This is the message of Isaiah. While Jerusalem was facing that army coming at them, the Assyrians. Now, in the course, we're going to find out God did something unique. What did he do to the Assyrian army? Does anybody, have you already read Isaiah? What happened to the whole army? 185,000 of them. In one night, the whole army was out there. Do you know how big a camp with 185,000 people is? They were right outside the wall of Jerusalem. If you ever go to Jerusalem, Steve can take you there. You can stand on Hezekiah's wall. It's still there. And you can look and think about a normal campsite. You know how many square feet it takes for your tent and your junk, you know? Imagine 185,000 soldiers in a campsite. You can see them all out there looking off the wall. And you know they're coming to skin alive, you know, one of your friends or to cut your head off. And everyone was terrified. And that night, Isaiah takes the letter of the king that he got from the Assyrians saying, I'm going to cut your head off and everything. And he spread it out before the Lord in the temple. And that's all he did. It says he spread it out before the Lord. And that night, the angel of the Lord came and killed in their bed all 185,000 soldiers. And that morning, the king woke up. His name was, Sennacherib II. And his entire army, every soldier was dead, but not the other people. An army had 185,000 soldiers. They had about 100,000 other people that carried all the gear, cooked the food, did everything, made the arrows. They all were still alive. They weren't soldiers. They just were workers, slaves. And they carried all the junk home with the king. And when the king got home, his son assassinated him. Isn't that interesting? So, look at this. Living a shalom, shalom life in a crumbling world. That's what the whole book of Isaiah is about. And Isaiah 26:3 shows us one of the most beautiful pictures. Let me read it to you. This is what Isaiah wrote. As the Assyrians were at the door, behind them the Babylonians were coming. The whole society was crumbling. Everybody was scared to death. The religious leadership was corrupt. The political leadership was corrupt. And this is what it says. In that day, this song will be sung in the land of Judah, verse 1. We have a strong city. God will appoint salvation for walls and bulwarks. Open the gates that the righteous nation, which keeps the truth, may enter in. Verse 3. You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you. Now the word in that verse, perfect peace, that's the English. If you have, do you all use Logos here? No? Yes? Some of you? In Logos, if you go there, click on that and go there, you know what you'll find? Fascinating. Under the word perfect and peace, in Logos, it will show you the Hebrew word. And in the New Testament, it'll show you the Greek word. If you look at this verse, you know what you'll find? The word peace is the word shalom. The word perfect is the same word. It's a repetition of one word. In the Hebrew language, if you want to emphasize something, they didn't have bold, like you do on your computers. You just hit the B and the word gets bold. Or you hit the I, it gets italicized. Or if you hit the U, it gets underlined. In Hebrew, the way you emphasize something is by repeating it. And so the most repeated thing in the whole Bible, it's the only thing that comes out 3 times, is a hymn. And the hymn goes like this. Holy, holy, holy. Anybody ever heard that hymn? That's right out of Isaiah. It's a description of God. God is not just holy, or not just holy, holy. He is the highest. He is the most emphatic you could say something in the Hebrew language is to say it 3 times. Guess what this verse does? It's the second highest emphasis. There are few things that only God gets the triple, and a few things get the double. So this verse says, God will keep you in shalom, shalom, even though your whole world is crumbling.